Three, two, one. Hey, everybody. It's Dan Evans and
What?
Josh and Josh Adams, co-creators of the Godfo universe, and we're back. And this is gonna be our 2022 recap of the best and the worst of pop culture, media, and fun. So, last episode we took the Lotus Eaters to task on their review of Kingdom Come, and that was hilarious from our end.
And later, it was fun.
And later this week, I plan to do a defense of Black Adam because let's get both sides mad at us. So anyway, Josh, it doesn't matter the category to me, but let's just have some fun. I'll start with movies. The best movie, in my opinion, I saw this year was Black Adam. I absolutely loved it. I don't care if it's objectively not the best thing ever. It was 2 hours of everything I ever wanted in a Black Adam movie, which was him fighting the single best version of Hawkman in any media ever, except for maybe the feral one in Kingdom Come, where he's like the head, which I have both of those figures up here. I have the Kingdom Come and the movie. Aldous Hodge, I think is how you say his name. That dude absolutely killed it as Hawkman. He made
the design for his costume was so good for the movie too. Like it was the perfect balance between like real world version of something and looking like the comic. The costumes, really all the costumes in that movie are pretty dope.
My least favorite one was Black Adam's final form one at the end with the cape and the gold. I think that was a little too much, but I still thought it looked good. But I love the movie. I mean, I watched it 4 or 5 times in theater. Only paid to see it one time in theater. But I don't know. It was my go-to, like Sunday afternoon. Baby's taking a nap. I'm gonna go watch a movie. It was like an episode of DBZ for me, man. 2 hours of just guys of Pierce Brosnan fighting The Rock.
I still haven't seen it. I know it's on HBO Max, and I haven't had a chance to sit down and watch it. I really want to watch it. Man, I'm glad that you had that experience of that movie, and like I hope that I like it when I watch it. I sat down, like when you brought this topic up, I sat down. I was like trying to think back. It was so hard to come up with any movies that I saw last year that I would ever want to see again. Like it was just such a dull year for me movie wise. Like I know there were a lot of people that like Top Gun Maverick. I haven't actually watched that one, so I can't
wanted
speak
to, but I didn't have time to see it because I was too busy watching Black Adam.
Yeah, it was a really busy time for me, and so I just didn't have time to go to the theater, and I haven't gone out and like rented it or anything because who rents movies anymore?
Well, yeah, that's not a home viewing movie. That's a theater movie.
Yeah. Man, it was not a good year for movies.
No,
it really was not. Like I think Multiverse of Madness, didn't that come out last year? This Doctor Strange. I saw it. I didn't hate it. Like it was fine, but like I left the theater feeling like, hey, I'm never gonna watch that again. I'm not gonna buy this.
Yeah.
Thor: Love and Thunder was terrible.
I saw the trailer and I saw Taika Waititi all over it, and I was Taika Waititi all over it, and I was like, I did not want to see it, especially since it was like 3 hours long. No.
It wasn't good, and there were some little like sci-fi movies and some horror movies and things that came out last year. I'll say this: the one movie like that came out that I think I would watch again was Terrifier 2.
I heard that was good,
but I mean it's hard for me to say, oh, this is a good movie because I mean it's a very niche, very, like, if you love really, really, really over-the-top gory movies, then yeah, that's and I do like that because I'm demented, but, like, it's not one of those things I can recommend. Yeah. Oh, you should all go see Terrifier 2.
Pearl was good. For horror movies,
I didn't watch Pearl.
yeah,
I saw X.
Pearl is better than X, like objectively,
Okay.
yeah. And it's
Okay.
small scale. It follows like a cast of like 3 people, and it's not like genre defying best horror movie top 10 ever made, but it's good. It's good.
Mm-hmm. See, like, I was pretty hyped about Nope
Yeah,
from Jordan Peele,
I get, man.
and there again, I I didn't hate watching the movie. Like, it wasn't a bad movie. I wouldn't say, oh, that was terrible.
But it was a Jordan Peele movie.
It just the story. There wasn't much story. It was basically Jaws, and then they tried to make it a lot more mysterious than it was, and
Jordan Peele always tries
it had
to
a couple
throw.
of cool moments.
His themes are always good, and then he drops the ball on them because it's like, hey, it turns out anybody can think of a good theme. It's just
Yeah,
like that's how Us was. Like Us is a cool theme, but it's literally a Twilight Zone episode, and then 2 hours of, I don't know. I think that dude's all flash and no substance anymore.
Well, and the reality is, even with what they did, if the designs had been better, if the effects had been like, you can take something and elevate it, and which is funny because they call everything he does elevated horror, but
Oh,
it's
please.
not elevated at all.
They try to call in anything that's
I don't know,
A24
man,
elevated horror, and it's not.
Yeah, it's been a hard year for me to get, or it was a hard year for me to get into movies, and I'm a movie junkie. I love movies.
Look behind you. Yeah.
Look at all the massive wall of Blu-rays and DVDs.
I just love
there.
that I can pick out Evangelion from the orange and the blue right over your right shoulder. We started, Colin and I. Colin's our friend who's a brilliant photographer and like brilliant cinematographer. He's living with me right now, and we started watching Evangelion, the original series. Last night we got through 3 episodes, and so I was like, we got to get through a couple of episodes because it's gonna go like so.
The pedal goes to the floor real quick on that show.
Which I love the first episode. I mean, I know they're slow, but
I
they
love
still
every minute of every single moment of that series.
I noticed something.
I even love the fan service,
Yeah.
like humor in that series. Like everything about that series. I love Pin the Penguin. He doesn't have to make sense. I love him.
I noticed something. Every time I see it, I notice something else I never did, which is the lady that watches him always get there. I always so bad with the names. Masagu or whatever her name is. Masato. I'm so bad at the names. I'm really bad at Japanese names, guys. You gotta forgive me. Masato.
It's because you're racist.
That's probably it. America, love it or leave it. Anyway, like she says something like, I think she says something to the effect of like, you have a really hard time with your dad when they're going down the elevator in the car. And she says like one line, and it's we were watching the Japanese version with the subs, of course. It's the best way to watch it, the original, not the Netflix ones. But and anyway, and she makes one sentence after that. She goes, "Just like I am," and I'd never noticed that sentence. And then you don't find out about her dad till like what 13 episodes in or something like that. Ridiculous. And it's like, man, it's so crazy thinking how much that guy had planned out and how much he hadn't planned out. And like, you can't tell. Like, when you rewatch it over and over, you can't tell what he had. Anyway, not to go off on that, but we started watching Evangelion because he'd never seen it before. And
how did he like it?
He liked it so far. I mean, like I said, you got to plow through some of these episodes that you haven't seen before. Which, anyway, so if you had to pick one, though, if you had to pick one movie that was the best of last year, what would it be that you enjoyed the most?
I can't find anything that I didn't really.
You need to watch Black Adam.
I guess Terrifier.
You need to watch Black Adam.
I know, but like I didn't see a movie I really liked that much.
I can see that.
That was new.
All right, worst. I'll go first. Glass Onion.
You've been waiting for that.
That is the worst movie since the last Rian Johnson movie. Like that's how I judge bad movies, is the distance between one Rian Johnson movie to the next one. Glass Onion is awful, and I've seen people even try to defend it because the title is Glass Onion, which is an allusion to that Beatles song that was about them being tired of people trying to overanalyze or stuff. Like, okay, that's not a defense. That's like naming, yeah, it's like naming a movie crap, and then when people say it's crap, you're like, well, it's supposed to be, and it's like that doesn't make it good, and it doesn't mean it can't be critiqued. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Ryan Johnson,
but why?
huh?
Why do you hate it?
All right,
like, why
I'll
was
go
it so
through it.
bad?
I'll go through it, and it begins with all his friends receiving a box, and they're all excited about it, and they're all talking, and they're all happy. Remember that. Remember that. They all open the box one way or another, except for like the one chick who is played by Janelle Monáe or whatever, who's one of the worst actresses to ever be on the screen, and she's like a singer too, and she has the most insecure face and eyes since Donald Glover, which I hate to say it, but both of them were both singers, which means they're insecure, and now they're actors, which is just double whammy. But if you look at their eyes, these people need a hug. I'm so sorry. Both of these,
or a drug.
yeah, like it's the give me attention, give me attention, give me attention. Anyway, it's like Tom Cruise without the testosterone to back it up to go do it. Like, anyway, so that happens. And then what you see, of course, it's Ryan Johnson, so he makes you see a bunch of crap that's not real or doesn't matter, just to show you it is later, and it doesn't matter, and he wants to feel smart about it. Anyway, this rich guy, played by Edward Norton, invites all of his friends over for like a murder mystery that's supposed to be his murder. So the first hour is all that. They go on the island, and of course, turns out nobody likes the billionaire, and they're all there because he like pays them basically, and he had something on him. And Edward Norton solves his fake murder mystery instantly on the spot because Ryan Johnson thinks that whenever he does that, it's clever, and it's not. So that's like the first hour. And then it turns out that the chick that came with him is the twin sister of the actual girl, and she's dead. And he then shows like the entire movie from the beginning, where it's her and the detective plotting to go to the island together to solve the mystery of her sister's murder. So literally, instead of doing all that together, like a competent director, Ryan Johnson takes like an hour and a half to do all of this. And then there's a scene where that girl gets shot, and she's dead. So right after that, that's when he does the entire replay of the entire movie. And when you see that scene from her perspective, if she gets shot and somehow the tiny journal her sister gave her stops the bullet, I've shot 22s. They will go through journals. Anyway, so when she gets shot, she's alive, but the people are coming out to check on her. And so Daniel Craig, the detective, puts barbecue sauce on her because Lord knows barbecue sauce looks like blood for all our people in the healthcare industry, right? So, or the food industry. Anyway, and a drop got on her face. So while they're all shuddered, hanging over her, the sauce that's hot is going into her nose, and it's supposed to be this tense moment of like her faking her death, right? Except we just saw that entire moment from their perspective where nothing happens. So, you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So he spent all this time trying to build tension in a scene that we've already seen the ending of.
Yeah,
so
I gotcha.
That's one thing. That's just one flaw. All the characters are 40-year-old, 10-year-olds, because that's the only kind of character he knows how to write. There's no mystery. You see what you're supposed to see, and then he tries to convince you that he reshoots multiple scenes to try to convince you that it's something different because he thinks you're an idiot. Like the main thing with Ryan Johnson's movies is he thinks he's clever and he thinks his audience is stupid.
I mean, to be fair, most of them probably are.
Yeah, well, yeah, if you like,
it's a popular movie.
Yeah, and so I could do a whole video essay on why it's so bad, but
I got you. Well, I'll tell you what my most hated movie of the year was Halloween Ends. So bad. I loved the first of the new Halloween movies from I
Yeah.
guess 2018, Halloween 2018. That was really good. Felt like a well deserved, like honored the story. Like that was really good. Halloween Kills wasn't perfect, but it was fun, and I liked a lot of the things they did with it. Like it was, I enjoyed that one. Halloween Ends was absolutely mind-numbingly bad, and they pulled the like the worst pop. You didn't watch it? I'm
Man, I
assuming.
haven't watched any Halloween since like
Okay,
Halloween
okay,
3 first came out.
okay. So if you see a movie called Halloween Ends, what do you expect most of that movie to be?
Michael Myers dies. Um,
You expect him to be like the main like focus of it.
yeah,
Dude, he's in the movie for maybe like 13
Are you
minutes.
serious?
Yeah, it follows this copycat killer
Oh God.
that like because like at the end of the second one, Michael Myers is all like the people in town that like surround him and like beat him up, and then he goes and kills all of them at the end. Well, in the new one, he's I guess like he's all stowed up from getting beat up on. This teenager, or I say teenager, this young guy like finds him and takes care of him, and in the meantime becomes a murderer. So almost all of the killing in the movie, it's not Michael Myers, it's this other dude. It's so lame. It's so bad. And then like the final confrontation between him and like his and Jamie Lee Curtis is so it's boring and it's really 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 bad movie.
How does
I
Jamie
mean,
Lee Curtis do anything physical? Isn't she like in her 70s or something like that?
she was believable in the last one, which wasn't even that long ago, like last year, but or the year before last. But the Halloween Ends, she just looks like an old lady trying to. It's bad. It's not convincing at all. Like in the other one, the middle movie, she had, or I guess really it's more like the first. Yeah, the first one she had set up like a lot of traps and stuff for him. And she had, she does a lot with guns. She doesn't like physically interact with him much. It's mostly like shooting at him and stuff. But so it's believable. But Halloween Ends is
How
awful.
does a guy with no formal education and no military training kill this many people?
Well, and that maybe he doesn't kill many people because he's just laying around on the couch pretty much.
Oh man, I'm sorry because I know that's a. It just seems
I love
franchises just get worse.
Yeah, that and I had high hopes for that one because it started off well, but it did not stick the landing
It did
at all.
not.
Not at all.
I yeah, it just in general I agree with you. It was not a good year for movies, even though probably one of my top one or two favorite comic book movies ever made was made last year. Came out last year.
Wasn't a good year for movies, but I tell you what, it was a pretty good year for TV.
Was it? You want
Yeah, there were some really good shows. Like I didn't watch Yellowstone. It's not that I didn't want to. I just haven't watched it. But when they showed the previews and stuff for 1883, which was like a prequel to Yellowstone,
yeah.
and just looked like a really good western. It's got like Sam Elliott in it and like Tim McGraw and Faith Hill and all.
Is that the one that just got
Dude, that
canceled?
no, it was just
Okay.
one season anyway.
Okay.
And there's another spinoff that's coming too. Like the second one's like 1920 something has Harrison Ford in it. But dude, 1883 is a really good, just a good old fashioned western. It's gritty, it's well acted, beautiful cinematography. It's just a great show. I loved 1883, which I'm a big western fan anyway.
You're a big anything.
And it I am.
No,
I'm just a big guy.
I'm just messing with you, man.
The big head. But no, I liked 1883 a lot. I really liked the new Star Trek, the Strange New Worlds.
Okay.
I did like, and that's another one that like I've loved Star Trek a long time. I didn't care for Discovery. I thought I like Picard was pretty good, you know, and Picard season 2 was pretty good. But Strange New Worlds follows Captain Pike.
Mm-hmm.
So it's set like before Kirk, but his first officer is Spock, and so it's like following his time on the Enterprise. It's classic Star Trek, and it's done really, really well. Um, the cast is great. The storylines they've done are great. The effects and the music, everything about that show is like it's like peak Star Trek. Like I'd put it up there with Next Generation. Like it's really, really good Star Trek.
You didn't catch Rings of Power?
I tried to watch it. I watched maybe the first three or four. I didn't hate it like as much as I thought I was gonna hate it. I didn't love it either. So like it's one of those I started watching and it's okay.
Yeah.
Like it for what it is. I don't. It's not as bad as like the Wheel of Time was.
Oh, I'm so sorry for you guys, for fans of Wheel of Time, because I knew, like, I saw that trailer, I was like, oh, this is gonna blow.
It was so bad. But like Rings of Power is okay. It's not the greatest thing that ever happened, but it's okay. House of the Dragon, the next like the Game of Thrones prequel has been that was pretty good. It was a lot better than the last few seasons of Game of Thrones were. So,
I watched the first episode and thought it was all right. I just couldn't.
Yeah, it's good. Like it's not fantastic, but it's good.
The wife and I watched all of Wednesday, and it was kind of like a C.
What it is,
C plus maybe. It's like the best.
I don't think you're the target audience for that one, Dan.
No, I don't think Addams Family fans are. It's like the best parts were Tim Burton, and the worst parts were Tim Burton. It's like someone it's like an AI tried to write an Addams Family show, because the humor kind of was there, but definitely not the delivery of it at all. It's like every time they'd make like a cryptic joke, they'd either go too far or not far enough, or it was just like, I'm not trying, I feel like a jerk, but it's like, I don't think a lot of these writers are good, or they don't know how to write comedy at all. And I think that's the thing. Maybe,
that's a lot of it is that comedy, because so much of that has to do with like wokeism and all this new comedy as a at least like mass produced. Like if you see it on TV, if you see it in the theater, you're not going to see something that's really funny anymore because they're not allowed to be funny.
I don't think they have timing. That's what seemed really off. Even like on the jokes that did kind of land on Wednesday, they land. And see, that's the thing is, I went in thinking it was a comedy, because that's what the Addams Family is. It's a dark comedy.
Yeah, I think it's more like a CW.
Yeah.
Now, tough chick show.
Now, Jenna Ortega, the actress, nailed it. And the chick that plays Brienne of Tarth nailed it.
Mm-hmm.
The writing was not there for any of them. I do think Catherine Zeta-Jones and the guy that played Gomez were the total wrong picks, and totally written wrong as well. I mean, Morticia was written kind of okay. Like, it's just, you see Catherine Zeta-Jones, you know, and there's just a whole plot line with Gomez being like murdering some guy at the school when he was a teenager, and it's like, why would they? That should be a joke. Like, that's just
right.
They wouldn't care. Like, no one. Like, there's literally a joke in one of the first two movies, where I think it's the second one, where the lady meeting Gomez shakes his hand and she goes, "Aren't you a lady killer?" And he goes, "Acquitted."
Yeah,
and he smiles, and like that's the joke.
Yeah,
But I think the show just didn't quite get it. It was more Daria than it was Addams Family.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, that's, like Ashley and I, like, we've been going back and watching old Seinfeld episodes again, and like you talked about like comedic timing. But that cast,
dead on.
God, Their timing and their chemistry was so good. But there again, that was a show that had it didn't have any like, oh, you can't touch this topic kind of stuff.
Yeah, it didn't have
And that's how,
modern audiences. That's what they always say. It's like,
yeah,
it's been updated for modern audiences.
yeah, it's. Ugh. Uh, I loved, and you've heard me rant about this show like constantly this whole year, probably. But I loved Cyberpunk 2077, that Edge Runners
Yeah.
anime that's on Netflix. Oh my goodness, it is so freaking good. Like it makes you feel stuff. It's gorgeous. How a game that lousy could produce like as a springboard something as good as Cyberpunk Edge Runners is beyond me. But oh my goodness, best new anime series in forever. It's so good.
You're gonna get the Chainsaw Man stands coming after you for that.
I hate Chainsaw Man. Chainsaw Man's
Please,
stupid.
dude, can we please do an entire podcast on that? Because I would love to hear
It's
you
so
ripping the Chainsaw Man. Because
stupid.
everybody loves it, and I have read maybe the first chapter of the first book, and that's it. So I would love to hear you destroy it.
I can't speak about the manga, but man, that anime is balls. I hate it. And like, if it's one of those that all of them anymore, and this is part of why I love the Edge Runner, is that Edge Runner, yeah, it has CGI stuff in it, but the most of the animation is hand drawn, or it's done to where it like the majority of it looks like old school hand drawn animation. This new CGI cell shaded crap that they keep putting out now, if you see a screenshot of it, it looks pretty awesome. If you see it moving, it looks terrible. And that's the way Chainsaw Man is. Like, initially I thought, oh, that actually looks pretty good. And then I watched it and like, it just looks like a marionette show with all the little dolls and stuff.
I'm gonna be honest.
CGI
I'm gonna be honest. Like I said, I've only read the first chapter of the first book. I didn't care for Chainsaw Man. Like, maybe I'm too old. It was just like, okay.
It's a ridiculous concept.
Yeah, and it's like that can work.
Stupid.
To me, it seems like it's for horny teenagers, which is fine. More power to you. I'm not going to judge you for that because I got into Tank Girl for a reason.
Yeah, but Tank Girl was funny and well drawn.
Chainsaw Man, I can't get into it or One Punch Man. I can't get into either one of those things.
I hate One Punch Man too. One Punch Man is such a dumb concept, and I know it's supposed to be funny. It's not funny to me. It's just stupid in one note. One Note Man. I don't like Attack on Titan.
Oh no, that's an awful show. I
hate Attack on Titan.
That is the most boring thing I'd ever seen. But at least the anime, like I couldn't finish the first season because it was so disjointed, and it was so.
I can't get over the gigantic, retarded, like naked baby men.
It was like when I watched it, I knew what it was gonna like. Have like, oh, because I was sitting there with my friend who'd seen it. I was like, he's gonna turn into one, and it's gonna be related to his dad, isn't it? And he was like, yeah, like, okay, I don't want to watch this.
Yeah.
And I get so tired of everybody being like, I don't want to die. I don't want to die for nothing. And it's like, dude, I don't care. I get sick of seeing episodes where they try to make me care about a character who's about to die. Like, I don't care. I don't care. Move the story along. It always felt like there was no story. Like, what's happening? Yeah. What's the point of this?
Yeah.
Great concept.
And meanwhile,
great idea.
I'll be watching, like, I'll go back and watch, Full Metal Alchemist, and like that's brilliant. Yeah, that's great.
I've got Trigun on DVD. I can watch that.
Yeah, exactly. But no, Cyberpunk Edge Runners, that's a genuinely like a new classic. It's so good.
I would love for people to get mad at what you just said, comparing that to Chainsaw Man, because man, that's hilarious. I'm gonna make that a clip. I would hope to draw aggro, and people be like, no, like I'm sorry, I'm not into the guy that's not Wolverine.
Man, with this little plush, chibi looking the little puppy dog looking thing.
He's a loser, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just like you're not I get it, and he's kind of a hero, but like I said, I don't know much about it. But what I saw was like, all right, he's a loser, and now he's not a loser because he's a simp for like this demon chick. And it's like, man, come on, you need to like, I don't know. FLCL told a coming of age story in 6 episodes that was better than anything I'm gonna find probably. I
Well,
don't
and
know.
that's the same. That's the same creators that did Cyberpunk. So there you
Yeah,
go.
and I think Evangelion wasn't he part of that?
I think he was involved in it.
Maybe it was his studio. I don't remember.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would love to have the Chainsaw Man fanboys just come at Josh.
So what are they gonna do?
He's like, they can't even crank a chainsaw.
I'll dox myself so they can come fight me.
He's like, they can't even crank a chainsaw. Like, you're gonna go like, I would love to see that guy versus Sam from Evil Dead. That'd be fun. Anyway, it's like, I'm not gonna.
Oh, Ash.
I'm not gonna.
Ash
Oh, Ash, kill him. I'm not
with
gonna.
the boomstick.
I'm not gonna speak too much on Chainsaw Man because, like I said, I don't know anything about it. I haven't watched the anime, but anyway, moving forward. Yeah. So anyway, TV. You were saying Cyberpunk, which, like I said, I watched the first episode of it. I couldn't get into it, but I hear it's great. I don't have anything against it. It didn't move me, so I need to watch the rest of it for it because like I'll try to give things a chance.
Yeah, it needs a couple of episodes to really. It's about episode 2 starts really pulling you in more emotionally. The first one I think is more like world building, setting up the. Yeah, it gets a lot better. It's so good.
We can come back if you want. I was gonna move on to comics.
No, that's fine.
All right, I don't. This isn't. I'm gonna say this just because I want it to spark discussion. So the best that I've had, the best comic this year of new comics to me has been Ronin 2 by Frank Miller. The story isn't completely there, but at least it's the thing is it's a Frank Miller beginning, which means it can be like one of the best things you ever read, or one of the most confusing fall apart things, and it definitely could go either way. I think I'm hoping it leans toward the first one because it seems like maybe he had a little bit of input with this one. It's definitely more of his anime Japanese influence than the first Ronin. Like it's basically Wolf and Cub, but Wolf is a mom. And if the whole fighting demons in New York, and if that whole book is just that, dead on, or it could be the first Ronin, which I still don't understand that book. I've read that book like twice and I still don't get it. And the art is fantastic. The art is the best comic art I've seen in years. It's
a pretty book.
It's not even him. It's one of his apprentices, but I think he
it's kind of better. It's better than
I think he sketched it out and then they did it and they definitely improved. I think it's amazing. If I had a picture of it readily available, I would show you. But anyway, and the second one, of course, isn't coming out till like February or something because for some reason, guys like him and Joe Quesada can't put out a book every month. Like they can't put it out on time.
They don't have to.
Yeah. And I'm gonna say this. Like I said, this was the controversial part. And this isn't me trying to start an argument. It's just this is actually how I feel, and it's not the worst, but it's the biggest disappointment, and that is Batman Beyond the White Knight. I am so disappointed in that book because Sean Gordon Murphy is a brilliant artist, as we've said. Wonderful artist. He's the only reason for me to keep buying the book. But man, after after the White Knight and Curse of the White Knight, I am severely disappointed. It seems like nothing happens in this book, and all the dudes are 12-year-old boys yelling at each other. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's.
I know he's your boy, but
I'm still liking it to a degree. Like I love the art. I love and I'm the type of person that the art is enough.
Yeah,
like I don't have to like the story.
Yeah.
I can just enjoy the art and his designs, like his versions of these Batman Beyond designs. I love. Like I could just look at the art and have no pictures and love it. I will definitely admit that like it's not nearly as well written as the other. I feel like it was more rushed.
Yeah, I can't. Nothing is happening.
He had more time.
It's just like I don't know. It's just like scene, and I hate to say this, but I don't know who's writing it with him, but I think, now I could be wrong, so don't quote me on this and don't judge me on this, and if I'm judging him on this, I'm wrong, but like the Harley Quinn spinoff series he did in of Beyond the White or Curse of the White Knight or whatever, it wasn't good either. And I don't think
He didn't
wrote.
write
That's what I'm
that,
saying.
though.
But I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, he didn't write
I
that.
think the person who wrote that is helping him write this. That's all I can think. And like I said, I haven't looked at it or researched it because I'm just lazy. But that's what it feels like. It feels like whoever wrote that is writing this, because he usually has really good ideas.
Yeah, I haven't loved the story this time.
Yeah.
I tell you what I have really enjoyed is the most recent run on Batman. It's a new creative team. Let me see. Hold on. See, it's the new team. The artist is Jimenez. Jimenez.
You want to try
And
that? You want to try that again?
no, I don't. And the writer Zdarsky, but like the art has been like phenomenal.
Yeah.
And the storyline has been really interesting. And I thought it was one thing that I thought was really cool is like in this storyline they brought back like the Zurin Law Batman with like the purple and red and like really made it work and made it interesting.
The Gurren Lagann Batman.
Yeah. It's been a cool storyline though. Like it's the first time in a while that I've picked up Batman, like a main title Batman, and gotten every issue. I've been enjoying that run a lot, and I do. Again, I love the artwork, but the story's been neat too. Like it's done some pretty cool stuff with him and like the Tim Drake Robin. Instead of focusing on Grayson all the time or Red Hood all the time, like it's nice seeing Tim get a little bit of love in this.
Yeah, who's arguably the most potential to be a better Batman than all of them. Which I gotta tell you, I don't like Damian. I've come to that conclusion.
Screw Damian.
Yeah,
but this has been a good run though. Like I've really enjoyed this run of Batman. I've also really liked, I'm a big fan of Daniel Warren Johnson, who did Wonder Woman, Dead Earth, and Murder Falcon. He did
Do a Power
Extremity.
Bomb.
Yeah, Do a Power Bomb has been a lot of fun. It's been a cool book. It's like this. It's silly. It's so over the top, but like, it's the type of thing that when I was a kid, I would have like loved the story.
Yeah.
But like the girl's mom was a pro wrestler who died, and like nobody would let her get into pro wrestling because of what happened to her mom. Everybody's trying to stop her from doing it, and this necromancer basically says, "Hey, there's a pro wrestling tournament in the underworld, and you can have your mom back if you win and all." So it's like a really crazy like concept that probably wouldn't work as anything but a comic book, which I love it when that happens.
Yeah.
When somebody does something that only could work as a comic book. But the art is phenomenal. The action is great. It's a fun story that's not trying to be more than what it is. So yeah, Do a Power Bomb was a good one this year.
That's good. I think I'm really hoping, and not just because we're in it, but I think we're in it because of this. It's just with movies, with comics, with almost everything except potentially video games, because that's a fine line. Indie is probably the way to go, because
for the most part,
there's entire walls of comics you just walk by and you're like, man, these don't look good. Even I hate to say it because I'm not an artist, I can't draw. It's just like what's considered pro is just, it's so weird for art. Like, I judge so many books by their art. Like, I mean, and maybe you shouldn't do that, but it's a visual medium, so you should do that. And
right.
It's just so many books just do not look good, and like objectively good. Like the color schemes are just awful. The focus is not in the right place on the cover, and I'll pick through and I'll flip through it, and it's like, oh, the writing's not any better. Like I mean, this sounds petty, but if I flip through a comic and I see like a ton of F words, unless it's something really good, like that I've heard about, like if it's the True Detective of comics, I'm just done. And then
when you want to talk about worst books of the year, like it's so hard for me to get into a Marvel book now.
Mm-hmm. They just
And
look trash.
I loved Marvel as a kid. Marvel, with the exception of Batman, Marvel was way over DC in my opinion as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
But like, I hate this new stuff they've done with the X-Men.
Yeah, like
Like
the
the
whole
whole
Krakoa era was
Krakoa.
just
Yeah,
garbage.
I hate it. It's so bad. And it's been a long time since there's been a run of Marvel that I want to read.
Well, a lot
And
of
like
yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
I was excited to some degree when Marvel got their chance to do a version of Aliens
Mm-hmm.
and recently of Predator, just because I'm like, oh, it'd be neat to see a new take on it. Maybe they'll throw a really good artist at it. The art's not good in their new Alien series, and it feels not connected at all to any of the history of Alien. Like it's just not good. And then Predator came out a few months ago that they started their Predator series at Marvel. It's garbage. It's not. It doesn't have good art. It doesn't have a story. It doesn't understand the property. And I think that's. I wonder how much of that is Disney owning Marvel. I don't know,
I don't
but
know, man. Marvel was going to me. Marvel was going down well before Disney bought them. Because
yeah,
I remember like
yeah,
House of X and Decimation, and I would pick up like the main continuity stories, like the graphic novels, and they were okay, but like those events weren't that great, and Civil War wasn't that great. Like when you actually read them, it's like
mm-hmm.
it's not well written, and none of the peripheral books, like the crossover books, matter. And
Yeah. You don't have to read
it's
them,
not
and
like Inferno, like from the 80s,
mm-hmm.
you know? It's not oh, I forgot what it's called. Not Decimation of the Mutants, where it's like they get the Morlocks get wiped out basically.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
what's I can't believe it's slipping my mind because I can't research right now. But anyway, those books like mattered whenever they were part of the crossover, you know. Um, and another thing is just like people, the way people defend, especially Krakoa stuff, they'll call it like the Krakoa era, and it's like no, there isn't like a steady timeline of X Men. It's not like an era. It's like this entire idea and section of X Men sucked. It's not like it's part
Yeah.
of like canon now and you can't change it, so you accept it. It's like comic books have canon for characters, but not for like these kind of events. But that's what's so weird. It's like they'll revamp a universe and then they'll keep these kind of ideas as canon, and it gets so
Mm-hmm.
confusing after a while. And I know I'm going off on
Well,
a tangent
Marvel.
there, but
Yeah, Marvel's canon is it's all over the map.
what's the Krakoan era? It's got like Mr. Sinister working with Professor X, and they just talk for like 30 months apparently on at a council with Magneto, and it's like, what are you talking
Yeah,
about? Like, what is
I
this?
don't,
Like,
I don't know what they're doing.
there's too many. There's still
And
too
even
many characters. There's too many
yeah,
mutants still.
yeah, I don't. I mean that back there, that's the era of X Men that mattered.
Mm-hmm. At the Claremont and right after.
Yeah, man, that's when X Men was dope. But yeah,
Well,
it's just been a
even
long
as far
time.
back as Onslaught, it just
Yeah,
Onslaught
Onslaught was a downhill.
was a terrible idea, and that's when I got out. Especially when the art, like, because you can always tell a comic's art is bad if you just see like a 97 in the top left corner, like Marvel comics. Like, because so many of those things started looking so cartoony, like,
Yeah.
and it usually was that era, like 1997 was when things really started to look bad for art, and it just went downhill from there. Like,
Uh huh.
I don't know, I'm just gonna be honest, man. Civil War was because I went back and like looked at it, like this is not a good story, and House of X is not a good story, and Decimation is not a good story. These weren't these
No.
Marvels, especially X Men, has been bad for about 30 years.
Yeah. It's not something new. But yeah, I haven't picked up a Marvel book since like a couple years ago when they started Immortal Hulk. I
Yeah.
loved Immortal Hulk. That was a good run,
Oh,
but
I liked Red Hulk. The is it
Yeah,
Jeff?
Red Hulk
Yeah,
was a cool
I
idea, but
forgot
like as
the
far
guy who
as this
wrote it.
past year,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, Marvel hadn't put out a book this past year that I cared about.
No. Well, I'm gonna go off on a tangent here just because I saw people arguing about it, and you know, Twitter drama, especially when it comes to indie comics, because people just won't be adults for some reason. But I saw some guy ask a question that was like, "Hey, what what are some problems, the goods and bads of comics, that you guys think?" Kind of like what we're doing right now. And someone we know said indie or mainstream, and he said, either one. And he said, well, he's like, well, indie has got a lack of creativity and like lack of something else. And of course, all the indie creators like jumped on him and were like, well, what do you mean all? And like the guy never said all. He never said anything, but he was speaking generally, and I agree with him. Like,
Hmm.
no matter what you do, because I mean, my gosh, you and I are musicians. You know what it is. Like 90% of mainstream music isn't great, and then 99% of like indie music isn't great. And it's the same thing
Yeah,
with comics, and people need to admit that. Like, I'm sorry if I see like another Spawn ripoff or something like that. There's so much of the stuff is just ripoffs or subpar art, and it's like you can fix those things. So don't be offended
yeah,
because you can fix those things, especially when someone doesn't specifically say. But he's being honest. Like any art form, as we're discussing now, suffers from a lack of creativity to like a 99 percentile. That's just how it works.
hmm,
I mean, 99% of plumbers aren't expert plumbers. They're
yeah,
they're your
and it's
dad. They're
just
your dad trying to fix like a toilet. He's not a plumber,
right.
but he did a plumber's job. He's not great at
Yeah,
it.
yeah. A lot of it's phoned in. Even with the indie stuff, I think maybe they can't afford a good enough artist to pull
Mm-hmm.
it off, or they rush it to get it. They just want to get it done and make money, and then
Or the
move to the
writer's
next
not
possible
good.
thing. Or it's just not a good story or not a good idea. With the big two,
Mm-hmm.
with Marvel DC, I think a lot of it's just they don't really care if the comic books sell
No.
because they're just trying to make money off of
Yeah,
licensing.
the IPs.
Um, yeah, I don't. They're gonna make their money off of selling toys and video games and everything else. Like they don't have to have good comics anymore, and they know they don't have to, and they know that they'll still sell. So,
Well, I also think,
or at least enough.
and if you feel bad, but it's not worth working for those two companies. Like, especially if you just came in, it's just not worth it. And like, you're
Hmm.
making someone else's character, and they have years of canon, but apparently none of them care about canon. So
Yeah, you just create your own, whatever you want it to be.
yeah, but it
Which I
has to
mean, I
be
guess that's fine,
but
but
it's a skin suit. It's someone else's character. I
yeah,
mean, it's just,
yeah.
I don't know, not to go off on a tangent, but I mean, I don't know what other else to talk about. I don't really play video games, nothing against it, but I mean, I can't really do best
Well,
and worst, so I'll let you do it.
I play I play video games. Not like I'm not a gamer per se, but I do play a good. I play at night. Um, Elden Ring lives up to every bit of the hype, in
Mm-hmm.
my opinion, that it's got. And Elden Ring is gorgeous. It's expansive. It's fun. It's hard. Like it's. I mean, it's not. I mean, it's definitely still like From Software who make Bloodborne,
Yeah.
Dark Souls stuff. I mean, it's definitely like that, but it's not as unapproachably hard as the previous games they've made. It's like there's a learning curve, but it's not as steep. Um, Elden Ring it's a really fun game. Like it's going to be around a long time. People are going to be loving that game for a long time. It definitely deserves Game of the Year status. It's been really good. Um, the Callisto Protocol came out recently, and a lot of people, its reviews have been mixed on that. I think it's been a really good return to like survival horror. It's got a lot of the Dead Space vibes to where it's like it's creepy, it's gross, it's a haunted house in space kind of game, and I think it's really good. I haven't played any game from this year that was bad per se, but like I'm very picky about games. Like if I'm gonna buy one, like it's gonna have to really be like I would have researched and read a bunch of reviews before I buy a game because games are like $60.
Mm-hmm.
So like if I get to the point where I pull the trigger on purchasing a game, I've already watched a bunch of videos and read a bunch of
Yeah,
reviews and
and you
stuff.
hope you get the
I
full
know I'm
game
gonna
for $60.
yeah. I'm pretty much I better know, I gotta know that I'm gonna like a game before I buy it. So there really aren't any bad games that I buy too much because like I already pretty well know what I'm getting into before I buy a game.
Mm-hmm. I don't blame you, man. I mean, that's what you got to do with like records and everything in general, you know.
Yeah, it's just things are so freaking expensive right now. I did want to plug a book. Uh, Last year, a book called The Pariah came out by Anthony Ryan. It's like a grimdark fantasy.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't have a lot of fantasy elements to it. It's more like it's medieval setting.
You got a
It doesn't
copy
have
of
like
it?
dragons and yeah, yeah, in
Yeah, you
fact,
can
yeah.
show
Give
it.
me a
Yeah.
sec. So this is Pariah. This is the first book. This is by Anthony Ryan.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Again, it's not like fantasy in that sense of having a lot of magic and dragons and stuff like that. It's more grounded. But it was a really good read. Well, the second one came out in 2022, The Martyr. This one is even better than the first one, and it's got like if you like Berserk, the manga or the anime, if you
Bazoik.
particularly if good Bazoik,
It's Bazoik.
particularly the time of the in the storyline where the band of the Hawk was rising in power and they were starting to all the battles and things like that. This series is very much that kind of storytelling. It's really well written,
That's all, folks.
really well written. Um, Good characters. Uh, no, nobody does dumb stuff. No dumb decisions by the characters. Like there's no real like agenda that it's being pushed. It's just good old fashioned grimdark
Whoa, it's not gonna tell me
battles.
as a white dude now in current year, how to behave in current year.
It's not. It's
Uh,
not.
it's not gonna tell me what current thing to care about.
It's not,
How will
man.
I know what to care about as a white man in current year?
Listen to your forebears.
I thought I wasn't supposed to listen to
But no, the second one was really good, and the third one's supposed to come out in June, I think, of this year.
of current
So like
year.
it's yeah, and I think the third one's going to be the last one. So I think it's just going to be a trilogy, not like a 13 book epic.
That's cool.
So I really enjoyed those. And I'll buy a book before I'll buy a game or something else. So I love books, and it's easy to get disappointed with fantasy now because you'll see a really good cover and then the book inside is not good.
Yeah.
But these did not disappoint. They actually Pariah and the Martyr by Anthony Ryan, so good,
Cool.
fantastic.
I didn't read a book the past year except a textbook for work.
Ugh.
I'm still stuck on that. Maybe I could plug something. I mean, I picked up a really cool version of Dante's Inferno, which, let's be honest, most people haven't read that. So if you if you haven't read Dante's Inferno, you should read it. Um, uh, Colin, the friend who's staying with me, we kind of traded. I gave him House of Leaves, which we're gonna do an
Mm-hmm.
entire deep dive on that again
Yeah,
properly.
yeah.
Um, he gave me a collection of poems by Charles Bukowski called "The Last Night on Earth" poems, and
Oh,
they
cool.
are fantastic. I flipped through it, and everything I read, which I was already a big Bukowski fan because he's like the working man poet, and
Mm-hmm.
all his work is like I got up today, I took a shit and watched my life flush away. Like stuff like that. I mean, he didn't actually say that, but basically stuff like that, where it's just
Right.
zero pretension, zero, um, almost zero intention to just kind of like the ramblings of an old guy who worked at the post office for like 40 years and hates his life. But anyway, Last Night on Earth, or The Last Night on Earth poems, or Last Night of the Earth, I forget which one. Just search that, and Charles Bukowski. I would highly recommend that. That's probably the best thing I read this year.
All right.
I just don't have time right now until I finish this test for work.
Right.
But I'm trying to think of whatever, like, what other medium. I mean, I guess I'm not a big video game guy, but I mean, I played the new Pokemon, and it's not bad. It's like open world. I mean, it's not great. The Pokemon are cool, but like the game itself isn't terribly great. It's unbelievably easy, just like all the other ones that come out now. For some reason, I don't know if it's just because I got older. I don't think so, because this old game, like Pokemon Silver, is still harder to get through than this game.
And see, that was the hard thing for me when you're like, oh, let's talk about best and worst. All of the best things that I've experienced this year or last 2022, that maybe even stuff that I had never seen
We're
before,
not
they
from
were
this
all
year.
older things.
Yeah, we're not.
Yeah,
from
they were
this
all
year.
old movies or old series or older books or like that I just never got around to seeing, and now I'm getting to enjoy them.
Yeah, and I'm fine with that. I tried to keep it the stuff that was released this year.
Right,
But you're right. The well's been pretty dry, and I can't wait for someone to comment below and tell me how I'm stupid and just uneducated. And lots of great stuff came out last year.
I know. I went and we put up a TV in the garage, and I put I back after Christmas I put an Xbox One in there
Mm-hmm.
because I played PS4 for a long time, so I got an Xbox, and man, going back and playing through the Halo games,
Oh yeah, those are
like
great.
the Halo Master. God, those games are so much fun, and like Gears of War, those were some fun games.
Black. Did you ever
And
play Black?
yeah, dude, that was an
Fantastic
awesome
game.
game.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's like I'd rather play an older game than a lot of the new ones that come out, because the old ones they play so well. They were fun, man.
All I want to play is Shadow of the Colossus and Mario RPG. Like,
Dude, Shadow of Colossus was so good.
It's a
That's a
perfect
great
game.
I've got that
Yeah.
one on. I've got that one on PS4.
Mm-hmm.
I got the remastered version that has like it's exactly the same. It just has shinier graphics.
Yeah. Well, you have to. I mean, I love the original, but I tried playing it on a modern television, and it's too pixelated to see a lot of stuff. It hurts the game. It's not that it offends me.
Yeah,
It's like, oh, it's just like, no, it hurts the game. So, because I mean, I do not care about graphics. I get mad at people who do. Like, I'm sorry. Like, people are like, like, dude, I grew up playing like Atari and shiz. You know, you did too. Like, don't tell me about graphics. I don't care. I got more emotions from like pixels than I get from like the crap we see now. But
exactly.
Yeah,
I just want it to be fun and have a good story.
Yeah, but it's just this
or at least a good.
This literally
gimmick.
hurt the game, like the way it looked. I was like, okay,
Yeah,
I'll probably maybe if I get a remaster. If I don't have any PlayStation at all or an Xbox at all, but I would get one just for Shadow of the Colossus, like a remake.
Dude, that game is so good. It's still so good. And that's a game that doesn't have hardly like really any dialogue in it, and it still makes you feel things.
Well, like, and that's the thing is, like, I'm so tired of movies pretending to be games. Like, me and Zeke went through, Death Stranding all the way, which if you guys haven't, whoever's listening, go check out Zekomancer.
I tried. I could not.
It's bad. It's a bad, but everybody go look at Zekomancer. Zeke, it's either O or Z. I think it's a 0, Mancer, like Zeke Mancer, Mancer with an O in the middle. And you can watch us play all the way through that game because that game was garbage.
I made it maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours into that game, and I was like, this isn't for me. I don't like just trying to balance boxes on my head.
Well, I mean, I didn't play The Last of Us, and I'm going to be honest, man.
I love Last of Us.
Well, the more realistic a game looks, the less I want to play it. Like, look, I don't want to see some grim, dark post-apocalyptic world where everything's gray and everybody's sad, and I'm sure the story is good, but like, I don't play games for story. I would just want to skip the story. Like, let me just skip the story and just play the game.
I love both of The Last of Us. I hope the show's gonna be good.
I doubt it, man.
I really hope it'll be good. I know it probably
They're
won't
doing the
be.
same thing with Halo, where they're encouraging their actors not to play the game or know the story of the game, which tells me they're changing
Dude,
everything.
that Halo show was
Yeah,
terrible.
I've heard it was awful.
Terrible. Ugh.
At least the Mario movie looks cool. Like,
Yeah, it does look fun. I kind of it's kind of weird hearing Chris Pratt's voice.
yeah, and Charlie Day
But,
is
like,
Luigi.
but other than that, it actually does look really pretty cool.
They should have just got the cast of Always Sunny to voice them. They should have got Danny DeVito to do Bowser. They should have got Dee to be Princess Peach. They should have got Charlie Day as Luigi. They should have got Mac to be like Waluigi or something. And then who's the main guy? I always forget his name. The one that's Dee's brother.
I don't know.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do. Anyway, they should have got him to play Mario. That's been hilarious. Oh, Sonic 2. Sonic 2 was a good movie.
Sonic 1 was a better movie than I thought it would be. So
Sonic 2 was cool.
2.
It has Knuckles in it and Tails.
Knuckles and Tails. Yeah, that's dope.
Yeah, that was a good movie that came out this year.
I'm surprised they haven't done another one of the Detective Pikachu, like another live action Pokemon, because that movie did really well.
It was good. It wasn't like
Yeah,
amazing. It wasn't as good.
A fun movie.
It wasn't as good as the very first one, like Mewtwo Strikes Back or whatever. But nothing's as good as that. Have you seen that one?
For a live action.
You should watch the first Pokemon movie. The one it's just about Mewtwo. It's like a cartoon. That one is heavy, dude. That one is
Really?
like, that's a really good movie because Mewtwo almost takes over the world and he's angry and bitter because he was made, like because he exists.
Right.
And it's a dark tone. Like it literally is like the good guy. Everyone loses from start to finish, and they just get beat down. It's physically like it's a heavy movie, dude.
Dang. To be Pokemon.
Yeah, it's a really good movie. The first one is.
Okay.
But yeah, that would be cool if they did like another Detective Pikachu. But I mean, they couldn't be that because how it ended, you know.
Right, but I mean, they could continue that franchise there. They could take that same thing and go with it.
They're doing all right. They got enough money.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, man. That's it's been a crazy year for everybody, and I hope some people have found some stuff to enjoy. But I'm gonna be honest, like on every front, it's been very hard to find anything of worth.
Yeah, and that's why, like I said, like I spent the things I've been chasing down have been things like I've bought a lot of classic like 90s, 80s, 90s anime.
Yeah, me too. I've been stockpiling it.
I've been tracking down back issues of some comic series for like I've been tracking down. I think I've got maybe 6 or 7 issues left to find of East of West.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been tracking down the back issues of I've got almost the entire series of a book called Birthright. I've got about half of Paper Girls. But like I've been mostly trying to track down older things like series and movies and things that while they're still around to be had.
Yeah. Before everything's digitized and then sanitized.
Yeah, I've been trying to get a hold of like I've gotten a lot of like old westerns. Like I've been getting a lot of those on DVD or Blu-ray.
I literally just got a notification on my phone from Netflix that said, "Pick up where you left off. Continue watching Seinfeld." Like, pick up where you left off in Seinfeld.
You don't have to with Seinfeld.
It's just like, yeah, I gotta figure out if Elaine finally gets the date with the gym guy. Like,
Man, we watched the one the other day where she sends out the Christmas card to
oh,
everybody
Nip,
and then sees like it has her nipple on it.
you want a Christmas card? Here's your Christmas card. Her interactions. Elaine has some of the because there's always the focus on George because he's so over the top and crazy, but
He's so neurotic.
Elaine's comebacks are some of the best in television history.
She's
So
so funny.
brutal, and
Gosh,
like the
she's so
delivery,
funny.
like
Her
it's always a
Kramer.
dismissal of their pain. Like it's always
Well, and Kramer, like everything that Michael Richards, everything that that man does is funny.
yeah. He just
Like
embodies
just the
physical comedy.
guy's so freaking funny, man. And like Jerry's the straight guy on that show. To be
Yeah,
the
the straight
comedian,
man. Yeah.
he's the least funny person on that show. God,
Well, he had the
it's
wherewithal to
it's
know that he wasn't a great actor and to stay
yeah,
out of the way.
yeah. It's man. I just there's no episodes that show has that I don't like
Yeah.
have a laugh out loud moment with. Like it's consistently funny,
My
and
favorite,
it always was.
one of my favorite Elaine comebacks is where she's like, "Hey, I saw what's her name? The fiance that died. I
Uh-huh,
saw
uh-huh.
her parents. Why do they think you have a house in the Hamptons?" To George, and George goes, "Cause I told him I had a house in the Hamptons. What did you say?" She goes, "I told him you didn't." And I
I
laughed,
told
and
you.
I laughed, and I laughed. It's
Well, I
always
just
a complete uncaring, complete apathy towards their pain that she caused.
and I
And
laughed,
I laughed, and I laughed.
man. And see, that's the thing is like to start wrapping all this
Yeah,
up, I guess. As creators ourselves, what I hope when people read like this first volume of Apollyon 20XX,
we need to start
or when people
promoting that at
read
the beginning of
eventually,
the show.
we do.
Anyway,
When
continue.
people are when people eventually get to read Kolga and some of these other things we've got coming out, man, I hope that they realize this stuff. I hope that they realize how much effort we put into creating something that'll last.
Yeah,
That you'll want a well that you're gonna want to come back to and drink from again. Because it feels like it's been such a long time since a new IP has come out
that mattered.
that mattered, that was interesting, that was exciting.
Hmm.
And like I'm excited. Not I'm. It's not so much that I'm excited about like being successful. I hope we will be. Obviously, I mean we got bills to pay, but like I'm excited about what we're creating because the story itself is exciting to me. Like I'm excited about the characters and the art and like I'm really invested in the world, and I hope other people will be too.
Hmm. It's the thing. It's you want to create something that uh, affects people's real life.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you want art to be transcendent,
Hmm.
and it's been a long time since things have been.
Yeah. I can't think of the last new thing that made me feel that. Um, I'm trying, like, I actually created new thing or recent thing, I should say.
The the Stormlight Archive books by Brandon Sanderson,
Hmm.
that series did that for me.
But when was it? When did that
Um,
start? Didn't that start like 10, 15 years ago though? I
um,
could be off, way off.
Probably the first one was probably about 10 years ago.
Okay.
Um,
I've heard
I
he's
mean
a
that series is
fantastic writer,
ongoing.
so
Yeah,
I
he
haven't read
is.
it, but
but that's ongoing, and I'm very invested in that world and those characters in a big way. Um,
Yeah.
it's been a while since there's not many things that do that.
Yeah. I mean, I hope there are things for people that do that. It's just maybe I
Yeah, I hope
haven't.
so. My Hero Academia,
That's a good one.
I
Yeah.
connected with that a lot.
Well,
I
and
collect.
the younger kids, that's their X-Men, and I can't blame them. I mean,
Hmm.
it's on par, if not better, than most X-Men stories ever. So
Yeah,
they don't have
absolutely.
Jim Lee, but cause, I mean,
They have some other kind of Lee.
I mean, it is hard to top the Magneto cover of one where he's got like the magnetism, and it's
Oh,
really
dude.
there's a lot of Jim Lee stuff that's hard to top, but it's really hard to top Wolverine and Omega Red like
Uh
squaring
huh.
off with each other. Man, that pops to this day, man. You look at that and it's like
Yeah.
it punches you in the face. Like that is a good idea and a good cover. But
Hmm.
yeah, I hope. Like I said, maybe if people do like some stuff that we don't care for, like Chainsaw Man, maybe that means something a lot to them. I don't think
Hmm.
it has the depth to do that, but maybe. Anyway, yeah, we can wrap it up there. If you're a Chainsaw Man fan, just come yell at us. That's fine. Your comments will be either unread or ignored. No, I'll read them and maybe respond. Just don't be mad if the response is hilarious. I had somebody come at me over Glass Onion on Twitter, and I just put the gif of Luke Skywalker from the Last Jedi drinking the titty milk and just shaking his head. Because they were like, I said something about like how what's his name, Ryan Johnson destroying the Mona Lisa at the end of that movie was just indicative of how awful, like how he doesn't appreciate art. And somebody was like,
Yeah.
you know, it's still there. You know, he didn't actually destroy it, right? It's like, no, I thought Ryan Johnson actually destroyed the Mona Lisa. I thought Godzilla actually destroyed, like, New York last time he was here. You tell me Ghidorah didn't burn
Uh,
down Rio de Janeiro or wherever he was.
uh,
But anyway, all right, yeah, we'll wrap it up, guys. Be on the lookout for our first graphic novel, Apollyon 20XX, Live Not by Lies, out this spring, written by me and drawn immaculately by Josh over here. Um, all challenges welcome for Josh's art. Good luck. And yeah, just check out more of our stuff. We do this every week, and we'll be doing it more and more frequently. Peace.